Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Davo from Archon Esports, bringing you another 1v1 StarCraft 2 cast. This one is actually from a tournament, which is the IMB Weekly, which is a weekly tournament and has been running since September of last year. Awesome. The prize pool of it is $125 as well. It's usually a single elimination tournament, but the organisers are allowed to make it into a best of 3 whenever they like. And to be honest, this is one of the ones that it turned out to be a best of 3, because there are more than one replay on the site where I found this particular replay. Awesome. So enough of that. In the bottom left-hand corner, we have ESCGoOdy, who is a 26-year-old German player, who's actually the captain of the German team. Very, very experienced player. He's known primarily for his mech builds, and lately he has been doing a little bit of bio work as well, but primarily, again, he's known for his use of siege tanks and Thors and stuff like that. And then in the bottom right-hand corner, we have a very notorious name indeed, mouzMaNa, who makes players such as Liquid TLO and Huck even shake a little. I mean, I'd love to see a match between them. I think I should have a look for one after this, but hey, and he will be our blue Protoss in the bottom right-hand corner. Now, both players scouting each other correctly the first time as well, which is very, very good. Saves a lot of time. It will let each player know what their opponent is doing, which is obviously very, very important. It will, for example, Mana can see how many gas Goody has, and gives him a fairly good idea what kind of tech path Goody will be going down. Oh yeah, I did this whole thing for Goody, but I never did it for Mana. Mana is a Polish player. He is 18, awesome, and he is part of Team mouzSports. Here we see Goody building an engineering bay here to prevent Mana from actually making his expansion. I actually really like this play, but it can be kind of wasteful to minerals if Mana wasn't actually going to expand at all. I mean, he's taking another gas, which says to me that he probably wasn't going to expand at all anyway, so I'm not particularly sure about this move. But, I mean, the guy is the captain of the German Esports StarCraft 2 team, so you have to really give him some credit. Here we have the immovable bunker by Terran that pretty much restricts Protoss access to a Terran base in early game. It's a very, very good move defensively, so I think we're going to probably see Goody getting an expansion out pretty shortly, seeing as his minerals are piling up. He hasn't got any gas yet. I mean, I can see Goody wanting to push this into the mid-game while giving his, there's the expansion, while giving his opponent the massive disadvantage of, obviously there being a mostly finished engineering bay in the works, which will probably get cancelled when it gets down to low enough health. It's just there at the moment to stop Mana from expanding. However, Mana may be expanding over here, which is a very, 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 yes, it's a very popular kind of area to expand, because it's quite out of the way, and in order to actually come over and scout here from the other side of the map, it can take quite a lot of doing and effort, and plus your scouting party can get interrupted halfway through on the dance floor here. Here we have the sentry taking down the engineering bay very, 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 very slowly. They do almost no damage, actually. Damage 6 compared to a Stalker's damage 10. So they do a little bit over half of what a Stalker does. It's not very much, but it's not that little. So there we go, it was finally cancelled by Goody. Awesome. Here we have the expansion still coming from Goody. Excellent, which is probably going to be turned into a orbital command, I would presume. Yeah, there it is, it's an orbital command. Excellent. And here is the expansion from Mana. Both these players look like they're trying to pull this into the mid-game now, really. I mean, there really hasn't been any sort of early game shenanigans. There's been no rushing, nothing like that. I mean, Goody in the grand scheme of things has really only just got his gas up, to be perfectly honest. He's got 4 barracks on the way, which, if you were watching Goody about a year ago, would have been kind of unusual, seeing as he always usually used to go for vehicles rather than infantry, but Hey, whatever floats his boat these days. He is in fact getting another tech lab and his concussive shells, which are of course very good against Protoss, especially the Zealots. They basically render Zealots pretty much useless. I mean, not entirely useless, but it doesn't make them as good, I will say that. Because, I mean, if only like 2 Zealots were to get hold of this group of Marines here, they'd be absolutely toast. But now with help from this Marauder and the concussion shells that are almost finished, things will be a lot easier, because they'll be a lot easier to kite and very easy to micro about the place. Here we have some pretty good grade mining going on. I mean, we also have Stimpak coming now as well, which makes the Marines and Marauders much, much, much easier to micro against pretty much any enemy. We have a nice bit of scouting going wrong here by Goody, obviously looking for pylons and any sort of funny business. Now, he will probably bump into this and see all the funny business here. We might expect a small battle happening here. So Goody tries to, you know, prevent Mana from having this expansion in a kind of, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a bad location, but I wouldn't say the expansion is in the best of places. I mean, obviously the best of places would be his natural, which is here, but seeing as the engineering bay was there, you know, you've got to do these things sometimes. Now, we do have the army moving out for Goody, and it is probably going to be moving up to here in order to, well, pretty much kill off this expansion. Man needs to be careful here because he doesn't have much of an army compared to his adversary. He has 4 sentries, a zealot, and a stalker, which compared to this, well, this will turn that into absolute dog food. However, we do have a scout out here, so Mana is going to know what's coming when it's coming. This looks like it might just head over here to harass the expansion, but this army is moving out to come and try and lock this attack down before it's even started. And this army's going to come back here and pincer into the back here. Mana needs to get out of the way here because this army will destroy this one. I mean, Goody is really probably going to take this expansion out if Mana doesn't do something really quickly, like get a Colossus. I mean, Goody is really going to have to want to focus down that Colossus. Otherwise, this could be curtains for this small attacking force. Awesome force fields by Mana. Really best force fields. Unfortunately, the Colossus does go down though, focused down by that Marauder that got out, then taken out by the Zealot. Really good force fields, but they are preventing the Zealot from getting through. Here's some more reinforcements from walked in by Mana, going off to the Marines and Marauder from Goody. The attack itself was a failure. I mean, they tried to take down the Nexus, but didn't quite succeed. Then they didn't really kill any probes or anything like that. And there's one Marine that I just really luckily managed to see pretty much receive a headshot from a Stalker. Now, we have a Colossus here, and we do have Mana working on more Colossus. So, the common Terran response to Colossus is, of course, the Viking, which will be coming out for Goody. I'd be kind of surprised not to see a reactor or something put onto this starport, unless... No, yeah. I wouldn't be too surprised to see a reactor being put onto this starport, or maybe even switched over. He really needs to start getting those Vikings out. Here we go, there's the switch over. He wants to start getting those Vikings out because the Colossus turned this into a Marine and Marauder barbecue. And I don't know, man, 2 Colossus at this stage in the game is pretty dangerous. Because obviously the bunkers count very little against the Colossus as well, especially when Mana is getting the extended thermal lance upgrade for the Colossus and the armor and ground 1 tech. They'll be even more deadly than usual, and we have a 3rd Colossus on the way. I'm very interested when Mana's actually going to push this thing, as he is getting his 3rd expansion up now. The probes getting there just before the expansion finishes, therefore having to start to early mine, and then Mana actually grabs them, puts them back into the Nexus. You naughty probes, back you go. Okay, so we've got more stuff being warped in by Mana, and a customary scam from Goody before he starts his new push. With only 2 Vikings, I do believe he'll probably want more than that. I'm not entirely sure 2 Vikings is actually going to be enough to prevent against 2 Colossus running over most of his army. But I mean, Marauders do have a fairly decent range, so they might not struggle too badly against the Colossus force. Mana really needs to pull back these Colossus now, because One of them could have just got sniped, but now... Excellent, yeah, it looks like he'll be able to hold these Marines and Marauders fairly easily. Mostly down to the Colossus that he has. These Zealots here having a party with the Marines and Marauders, absolutely killing them. I mean, this game isn't going that well for Goody at the moment, seeing as Mana, I believe, probably has taken him by surprise a few times with those Colossus. Continue on making Colossus, he's still going. That third base is up and running now. 4 sentries warped in with 2 stalkers. Good stuff. It keeps the composition nice and clean also. The sentries go a long way to complement the Zealots very nicely, because if you put some force fields in the back of an enemy and then send the Zealots running at them, well, you've got one dead enemy. Awesome. Here we have some sort of crazy SCV party, as Goody has almost mined out his natural, and his main isn't looking too good either. He really needs to take a third, otherwise he might actually run out of minerals full stop, and then, well, he'll lose the game. Mana, of course, is way ahead of him. He does actually have 3 bases. He does need to, yeah, set the rally point for this Nexus, and he just has. Awesome. Third Colossus here, really flawless play from Mana. I'm still not sure whether or not this many Vikings is actually going to cut it. These Zealots need to come out first, and he needs to watch the Vikings really carefully. More Zealots join the party. Also, we've got 1 armor and 1 weapons upgrades for the Protoss player at this point in time. Sending the Vikings ahead probably wasn't the smartest idea, because they're not going to have as much of a defense against the Stalkers. The force fields are awesome because they line up the Marines and Marauders on the outside of them. Again, this looks like it should be easily held by Mana. He just needs to be kind of careful around these Marauders now, because the Marauders have such a good range. And of course you've got the concussive shell's ability. Now this really is starting to look a little bit grim for Goody, and seeing as he's essentially lost 3 battles in a row. He needs to be really careful about what he does now. He really needs to take a third, in my opinion. But again, there's the question: is he going to be able to take a third whilst defend? And here we have another battle coming in. I'm actually going to take away the UI for this one. Oh, there we go. Okay. Yeah, there we are. Okay, so again, we've got SCVs joining the fight this time. It looks like it might be an all-in play from Goody, because he's realised I can't do anything against this. We have a High Templar with Psystorm on the way, but the Psystorm is not there yet. Now Mana needs to be very careful against this all-in play from Goody. The Colossus already going down. This amount of Stalkers will surely perish against that amount of Marines and Marauders, but we do have a lot of Zealots coming in who are awesome against Marines and Marauders. Excellent. Let's bring the UI back up. Here we are. Do I feel at home? We have another battle coming in here. Those Zealots melting away at the sight of those Marines and Marauders, and the Colossus successfully microing away from all of that stuff in there. Here we do have a really even battle. Zealots being warped in from either side, and there is the GG from Goody, realising that his options are kind of grown slim with a main base that is kind of, well, I mean, with a main base that is just bare mineral-wise, and with a natural which is looking a little bit overpopulated, and, well, it looks like he's about to run out, basically. He really needed to put another expansion here. The Mana would have just seen it anyway. And alas, here is the battlefield. Awesome. Look, okay guys, thank you very much. I'll be casting the next one of these very shortly. Okay, enjoy playing StarCraft and have a good day. I'll see you next time, which will be in about, well, I mean, after I upload it, about 20 minutes if you guys are watching or not. Awesome. Cool. See you later.